What's up, guys? 2024 has come and gone, and yeah, that sucks. End of the year also means Game of the Year, and this year marks the 10th anniversary of everyone's favorite games awards show. Okay, getting word in, we actually haven't been doing this every single year since games have existed. Okay, so when did we start? When did it take its current form? Can I predict the Game of the Year? At the start, we didn't host the Game Awards. We didn't give out awards for Best Game Direction, Best Screenplay. What is this, the Oscars? We didn't give out awards for Best Game, Best Writing, Best Performance, Best Scoring/Music, Best Indie Game. It was a simpler time with arguably less games. The very first Game of the Year was crowned in 1979, and as we know from previous videos I've made, video games hadn't really been around for very long as of 1979. With Pong being released just 7 years earlier, the public's interest in video games was still new, exciting, in the honeymoon period, and yet to be affected by the crash of '83. Arcades were huge during this time, and consoles and computers didn't have the chokehold they do on people today around the globe. Space Invaders was the first game to ever be named Game of the Year by Electronic Games magazine. While the concept of something being the best was far from novel, and ceremonies declaring Best of the Year were also well worn at this point, the idea of applying it to video games was new. So, from 1979 on, someone, somewhere named their Game of the Year. But it wasn't always this big Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, Tonys kind of production. As stated earlier, things were simpler. Any magazine and later blogs and websites would name their Game of the Year, but just like today, there wasn't a lot of consistency between publications. Chalk it up to differences in taste, opinion, the sheer amount of really good games being released. Whatever it is, people can never really seem to agree on a definitive Game of the Year. The number of publications that named a Game of the Year increased as the gaming industry grew, going from just a handful of magazines to so many different sources. But this simple naming of a Game of the Year wasn't enough for gamers. They needed more. They needed the Spike Game Awards. The naming of the Game of the Year should be a spectacle, something you want to, no, need to be a part of. Hollywood had their award shows, so why not video games? We needed something that would celebrate the writers and the artists and the developers and everyone else involved in the making of video games. A way to showcase this new, dare I say, art form that had taken the world by storm. The Spike Game Awards were just that.
He's a skater! A masturbator!
I'm not gonna let this stop me from having sex with strangers. I kept bringing out hot girls all night, never got to the video games I'd be okay with.
Just boobs.
2003 was the first year that the Spike Game Awards was hosted, and this was essentially the first iteration of a long line of iterations of the Game Awards. While I am sure I am not the target audience for this particular iteration of the Game Awards, if you have eyes and a brain, you can probably see why this isn't the best way to showcase games.
It looks like a Pac-Man and a Space Invader, what?
Take a crap?
No, had a baby.
The early 2000s was a different time, a different culture, but I don't know, guys, it was kind of gross. From the hosts who never really seemed too interested in video games to the nearly naked women paraded around on stage.
And, oh my God, I'm suddenly not gay.
To the bits and gags that never really landed in a way that felt good, this early iteration of the Game Awards felt very different than what we see on screen today. Where's Geoff Keighley? You might be asking your computer screen right now. Well, from the beginning, Geoff actually was involved. And it makes sense, given his love of video games and award shows, that he would have been involved from the very beginning. It's like it was meant to be. As the years wore on, the Spike Game Awards slowly became closer and closer to something we recognize as the Game Awards of today, making changes such as no longer making fun of their own audience, and taking games a little more seriously. It took time, but eventually it went from a dirty, nasty, rowdy, like Kids' Choice Awards-esque production to a weird one-on-one host-camera interaction, to something that we recognize as a award show today. Obviously, as the times changed, from people seeing video games as a waste of time, something for deadbeats and little boys, the culture around video games was able to change as well. It became more inclusive, and more interested in exploring games as an art or storytelling medium, and personally something I find more interesting. It's a showcasing of a studio's hard work, and more of a celebration of video games on the whole. The Spike Game Awards, then VGAs, then VGX, then canceled off the air, then the Game Awards, hosted by Geoff Keighley, is not the end-all be-all of the Game of the Year, but it certainly is the most visible. As with all award shows, it has its flaws, but It really has come pretty far. With 118 million global live streams in 2023's presentation, and compare that with the Oscars at about 18.8 million people watching, it's kind of crazy to see the reach that this little Game Awards show has. Obviously, it's still a little hard to compare viewership here since the Oscars airs on TV and the Game Awards is live streamed on the internet. So obviously award shows like the Oscars still have more reach into our culture. So like if you ask your uncle if he watched the Game Awards, he might go, "What are you talking about?" But then you ask him about, the Oscars, he's like, "Oh yeah." But it's really cool to see how this award show has evolved into something that showcases the video game industry and people's love of video games. Now, this year's Game of the Year, what was your favorite? Was it everyone's favorite poker-like game, Balatro? Or maybe Animal Well grabbed you and pulled you down into a deep, deep obsession? Or perhaps you really love Sony technology and a platformer that's actually really fun to play? Or maybe you were just excited to play as Princess Zelda in a mainline Legend of Zelda game. Let me know down in the comments what you think the Game of the Year is, so that way you can say you predicted it correctly, if it is right, to your friends. Be like, "Look, I did it." As for me, I have inside sources, and I already know that the Game of the Year is going to be Thanks for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if not, that's also okay. Just click off the video, no harm, no foul. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, comment down below your favorite game of the year, for real. Like, I don't know, haven't played a game this year, so I don't know. Also, about halfway through making this video, I remembered a really, really good video that kind of covers this, but in more depth, and is better. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's video. Join me next time where I follow my dreams. And bye!
Everybody seems to be having a good time with me. Maybe I'm not built for this inside. When you guys are having fun, but now I know I have to run. You guys keep on going, I'm gonna bounce.